Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Closing Strong, How to End 2025 with Intention and Set Your Team Up for a Powerful 2026. Let's talk about who is guiding us through this powerful conversation today. I am beyond thrilled to welcome Tracy Martin, the CEO of Straight Consulting Partners. Tracy's a millennial, a mom, and a true ortho growth strategist. With more than 16 years of experience across every role in the practice, she brings a real world, no fluff approach to team training and conversion strategy. She's a trusted voice in the ortho space, speaking at national and international events, hosting the industry favorite Straight Talk series, and leading TC and marketing mastery courses that empower teams to connect, convert, and close. Her team serves practices across the US, Canada, UK, and Australia, helping them modernize systems and scale sustainability. Today, Tracy is going to walk us through how to finish 2025 strong and truly set your team up for an even more successful 2026. We're going to cover overlooked metrics, team alignment, and practical goal setting strategies that you can implement right away. Tracy, you know I love you. We are excited to have you here today. You go ahead and take it away.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Malika. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And I'm really excited about this presentation, to be honest, y'all, because, well, one, nobody else has asked me to do this presentation. So it's fresh, it's new, it's awesome. I love it so much because as a strategist, I feel like we have the most beautiful opportunity right now this month, this upcoming week, to really make sure that we bring it home for 2025 and we kick off 2026 really strong. So that only happens when you get intentional, and that only happens when you put the effort in. So I'm really proud of everybody that's on this call right now, and for everybody that's going to be watching the recording, because you're choosing to be intentional and to ensure that you're going to hit those numbers that you want. So just for anybody who is not familiar with me, again, like Malika said, I run a company called Straight Consulting Partners. We recently rebranded as Partners, so that might be new for some of y'all. And we are 50% at this point. Our firm is 50% private practice, built off of orthodontics, and 50% DSO, OSO, so in the corporate leg as well, working with other specialties as well. So we're kind of all over the place now. We are expanding and expanding. Alicia on my team, you can't see her, but she's sitting right over there. But Alicia runs the private practice side of our business, and I focus a little bit more on the corporate executive clients and the large practices. But we do it all together as well. I also help with all of the private practice as well, but I would be nothing without Alicia. So we are in a few countries now, all English speaking, thank God, because I do not have time for Rosetta Stone. But yeah, so we have expanded a little bit, and we're happy to go to more places. Today, let's focus heavily on our metrics, our mindset, and get that momentum going, because we're going to need all of those together in order for that to happen. I love that we're talking about this subject because, I have access to a lot of data. I have access to a lot of practices and how they're performing. And some of them are performing really well, but some of them are also kind of taking their foot off the gas. And that happens a lot as we go into the last quarter of the year. And, and it makes sense, but I feel like this is the moment that we need to, drink your Red Bull, drink your Celsius, do what you got to do, and kick up that energy to make sure that we finish strong. So, this presentation is going to be about how we refine and leverage what has been coming into the practice more than focusing on trying to get more. Let's just get smarter. So I'm going to show you a couple of ways to do that. There is a PDF that is included in this webinar for you guys, so that way you've got a checklist for afterwards that can help make sure, ensure that what we talk about today, you can just really go ahead and implement. But if you end up having any more questions after this webinar, feel free to reach out to Alicia and myself and to our team. We're happy to help you with further implementation too. So, all right, so let's kick it off. So we've got 3 parts here. We'll start with the first one. Consider yourself, whether you are one of my clients or not. You are at this moment a straight consulting client of ours. And so I'm just going to give you everything that we would give and how we would coach you if you were one of our clients. So I like to start with good news, right? We're going to sandwich this in. So good stuff. So 2025 had some nice things about it. So production and collections are up. That's fantabulous. And the average contract, the average fee is up as well. Not by a whole lot, but it's something. So something's better than nothing. Now, down payments look about the same that they've always been. We've always been seeing like 800 down and 200 a month. So that's kind of our normal payment arrangements. Of course, different markets that can be different, but that's our average across the nation. And then for the first time ever, we've seen private practices starting to outperform OSOs, which is kind of fun and interesting, especially in our firm, because we're 50-50 and we're serving both of those parties. It's kind of interesting to see this shift, because for the longest time I've been lecturing about how OSOs and DSOs were really kind of kicking some of our private practice booties on, it's G-rated, when it comes to patient experience. But in 2025, we have been seeing more and more of private practices getting intentional, making some changes to their patient experience that they maybe weren't open to before. And I am so excited about that. That's very hot. So now let me go into some interesting news. We won't call it bad news. We'll call it interesting news. So on our average practices, and this is based off of Gauge data, Kane Waters data. I just try to take all the data I can get. But right now, the average case acceptance rate is somewhere around 66 to 68%. And then our kept exam rate is at 78%, which is crazy low. And it sucks. It's terrible. But that's what millennials do to us. So, millennials walk outside and they're like, oh, it's sunny, so I don't feel like going to the orthodontist that I had planned to go to. That yes, they reserved that time in your schedule, but because it's sunny out, they're just not going to do it. So they get distracted easily, let's say. So unfortunately, our kept exam rate is really, really sad. There are things you can do, but that's not necessarily what we're going to talk a whole lot about at this point. You guys have heard lots of my lectures on patient experience and the touch points that need to happen before patients come into the practice, and that will that kind of stuff will help beef that up more. And maybe we'll talk about it more in the Q&A. But for now, just know that kept exam rate is at the lowest I've ever seen it. Case acceptance rate is not at the lowest I've ever seen it, but it is still not great in my opinion. So I like to look at how that kind of plays out in real life, because those are just kind of numbers. So if the average practice has 1,000 new patient calls, then that means only 780 exams are actually happening. So kept exams, right? Because of that kept exam rate. And then that means that out of those, we're going to have only 515 starts out of that, those are initial calls. So that's a total drop of 47 to 49%. And for me, that's freaking huge, because it's like half. It's like half of the amount of people who call your office are actually going to become starts. And for me, that's a huge, huge leaky bucket. And so if you ask like, well, why is it like that? Well, that's because a lot of our practices are still thinking like Gen X, and they're not thinking more along the lines of the patient experience or the communication needs, not just like communication methods, but also like the tonality, the scriptings that need to happen, the workflows that need to happen to really, really come alongside millennials, Gen Z, and now Alpha. And we're going to talk more about Alpha from this point on. because alphas rule the roost. I don't know. So this one's going to kick you in the pants a little bit. So I wanted to play that out with even more numbers and kind of really monetize what that means for our average practices. So let's say that you are a $2 million ortho practice, and let's assume that your makeup of your patient base is 25% phase 1 and 75% adult and teens. Okay, averages, right? And let's say that the average phase 1 fee is $2,100. Our average full comp fee is $5,600. So we'll average that. We've got $4,725 as our average fee. Well, in a $2 million practice, we should be seeing about 69 new patient calls. If you have more, that's fantastic for you. Love that. But let's say 69 new patient calls and 36 starts is what we should get out of that based off of the previous slide we just talked about with those stats. So if that's happening monthly, then we'll apply that 48% loss from call to start. And then that will mean that we will be losing $157,000 per month, which times 12 is $1.9 million annually that we just lose from, that we just left on the table. So for me, I feel like there's nothing more that we should be focused on than how do we increase our conversions. And conversions not just in the exam room, but from initial contact to walking out with Invisalign, aligners, braces, whatever, something. So I think that makes the case right there. $1.9 million. There's a whole lot of stuff I could do with $1.9 million in your practice. So also another way that we've been kind of losing out is on our obs patients. Now, while overall conversion rate is up compared to the previous year, that 66, 68% is up, our obs is not going up, not like it should. And so we need to be focused in on those obs patients, those Gen Alpha patients, and they require a whole lot of engagement, more than we've ever done in ortho. This generation will require you to get very intentional and engage them. Otherwise, you will be losing them on the soccer fields or wherever. It is not hard for a millennial mom to take her kid to another orthodontist, even if she's been coming to see you for the last 3 years on different recall visits. Hopefully not, but it's not a lack of loyalty. It's just a need to be savvy with their funds and with their time. So it's not hard for them to go get a second opinion, and ultimately Gen Alpha is going to get to pick where they go. So we're going to need to focus heavily on obs and make sure that we aren't losing out on converting them too. The other area that we're going to need to focus on is aligner starts. They're still going down. So that's definitely due to some friction in the onboarding process. A lot of it has to do with initial down payments that we're still continuing to add more for aligners than for braces, and making it a harder decision for the millennial or Gen Z to choose. So I would just remove as many hurdles as you possibly can there and get really, really flexible with the financial arrangements. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in this slide deck as well. But definitely there's another area of opportunity there that we should definitely focus on. And on top of that, just from an efficiency standpoint, I threw it in here right at the beginning of aligners is a great opportunity, not only for increasing conversions and again, really flexing those muscles of converting adults, because we're going to need to do that more and more as years go on. But the efficiency side of it, the fact that I can absolutely increase my value per visit with aligners way more than I can in most of my practices with hardwires. So definitely looking at it from an efficiency standpoint too. So let's go into our second part. So let's start planning and really mapping out what we're going to do. So our biggest focus is going to be on growing efficiently. Sometimes when we go into these practices, and I mean this in the sweetest, nicest way, and maybe I should back up and really make sure everyone understands that I'm like the Jillian Michaels of orthodontic consulting. I am not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. I'm going to coach you on, and I'm going to call you out when you don't do it. And we are going to, celebrate your success together in the end. And sometimes when we go into these practices, we see that they have definitely grown, but they're growing wider and not tall and lean like we want them to. And the way we grow tall and lean is by being very efficient with what is coming in. So we want to make sure that our workflows and our team mindset, and I'll go into a couple more of these, but we want to make sure that our practice is being very intentional about not necessarily trying to get more and more and more patients in, but be trying to convert them in a more efficient way with as few appointments as possible and make ourselves more profitable. And sometimes that just means making some changes that we aren't used to, that we've not had to do since Gen X. Gen X actually had money, y'all. Like, Gen X can actually save money. Millennials can't save money. They have nothing in their savings account. Right now, millennials are the majority in the US right now, actually. They are absolutely the majority, of your patient base, of the patients that are actually coming in and looking for orthodontics. And they are the parents of Alpha. And again, they don't save money. It's all about cash flow for them. They can get money. They can get a lot of money, actually, but they have a very hard time saving it. They also don't care about their credit scores the way that Gen X does. So they can definitely be a lot more flexible when it comes to the payment arrangement piece. So we'll touch on that just a bit more. But in today's economy, the average household income is $97,000. They don't have a lot when it comes to extra pop-ups of things. They're trying to spend anything extra on the whole family. So they do a lot of this high-low budgeting where we buy the majority of the household needs at somewhere that they're going to save a lot of money, or where they can get some savings, like Walmart or Target, Costco. And then that gives them the ability to have just a tiny bit of funds off to the side for the vacations that they want, because millennials want to experience everything. So vacation's a big one. They also will hold off some of that money for orthodontics, but they're not going to be the ones that are typically going to be paying in full. They're going to be the ones that need to have a flexible payment arrangement. And again, these are the averages. I'm looking at the nation as a whole. There are tons of practices that are in a certain demographic that will have lots of pay in fulls, that will have higher down payments. Don't get me wrong. You've also got plenty of areas that are going to need a lot lower than $800 a month. So I'm just taking the averages here, and we can always customize them for you specifically later. But these are things to be considering, and everything is vying in this world for that extra bit of income that they have. That extra bit that's set aside is being split between all the kids' needs, the new car tires that need to happen. So orthodontics is just another one. So as we are, as TCs in that consult room, and we're trying to convert these patients, and yet we keep getting these no's, a lot of it is not no forever. It's just no right now, based off of the way the economy is. And the way that we get over the hurdle of not right now is by getting creative and getting more flexible. And TCs, you need to get really honed in on how, what is that specific patient in front of you? What needs do they have in order for us to get creative? Like, what kind of creative do we need? And it's our job to suss that out. Previously, growing in orthodontics, we would focus on, well, how many locations do you have? How many chairs do you have? How much more staff do you need? And that kind of growth is what we kind of equated to success. It was about expansion. It was about volume. But now, where I want us to completely focus for 2026 and the rest of 2025 is really focusing not on volume, because volume is expensive, but focusing on being efficient and smarter, because that is going to be more sustainable for us. So efficiency might be more like, it's doing more with what you have. It's increasing your profits per clinical day. It's making sure that we remove any extra, like reduce anything that we don't need. Y'all, sometimes I go through your P&Ls and there are so many different vendors on that list. And don't get me wrong, the vendors are my friends and I did not tell you to get rid of them. But however, we need to make sure that we are optimizing and maximizing our services with each one of them. Make sure that you know what all they offer, everything that you're paying for, and then make sure that we don't have any extra like overlap. Let's hook everything up and make sure that it's working smart for you. So remove any excess that you can, and then be very focused on that patient experience and how you are intentionally moving your patient through the buying process. Don't just like make a beautiful experience for the day that they come in. No, the strategy is in what happens before they ever come in. My goal is for them to be 80% ready to buy before they walk in that door. And then you just got to take them over the finish line. Don't screw it up. So like you got to get intentional there. And you need, with a millennial and a Gen Z, you've got to work them through that buying process quick, because again, everything in the outside world is vying for that tiny bit of extra money that they have. Again, there's nothing in savings. So this is about cash flow. So we want to make sure that that we are converting them as fast and as smooth, and really the word is frictionless, as possible. Okay, so let's give you a couple more examples here. So if it was me and I was setting some goals for your practice, I would be focusing on our conversion rates. Like for us, we want the conversion rate to be at least 80%. If it's not 80%, then there's absolutely work to be done. If you're at 90 or 90 plus, do not call me. You do not need us. But if you're anything below that, we're happy to help you. But I want your goal to be at least 80% conversion for 2026. Like there's so many easy strategies that you could put in to get there. You just got to be consistent. You got to be disciplined. But that alone, I mean, if you were to move it from 69% to 80%, it's going to have massive payouts for you. So get intentional there. Also focus in on marketing. That plays into that as well. And then make sure that you're tracking your value per visit. I don't think most practices are doing that. We need to be checking how many times has this patient come in. So like take your treatment fee, and then like when you've got your D-bond patient, look at how many kept appointments that they had throughout the visit. Just because you had estimated 24 months doesn't mean, we all know that doesn't mean that there was actually only 24 visits that happened. Or, honestly, it shouldn't even be 24 visits, right? If it's a 24-month case. Hopefully they're not coming in monthly, but that was the old school way. So we know that the fewer the visits, the more profitability we're going to have on that. The big one here is going to be getting really flexible with the financial side. So Alicia and I coach a lot of the practices on what I call DIY, your payment arrangement. So design it yourself. Millennials are the biggest narcissists to ever walk the planet. So we believe that, if we designed that payment arrangement, if I picked what it was on my slider, right? If I chose it, then, and I wasn't like coached to, stretch myself to get that, right? I designed it. I committed to it. It's the best payment arrangement there ever was. And I'm going to follow through with it. It's when we coach them and try to push them to go outside of what they can actually afford that, that we get into trouble. And we'll know that they're going to get into trouble within the first 6 months. So it's about addressing it early so that we can reduce risk as a practice. But DIY your payment arrangements works really, really well for millennials and Gen Z. Gen Z is coming out of school now. They're getting great tech jobs and they're all signing up for HSA and FSAs and stuff. So utilize the heck out of that. And then third-party financing is the big word of the year. I mean, words of the year. Gen X hated outside financing. No, they did not want a ding on their credit. Whereas millennials love third-party financing. They finance everything in their life. Their Peloton is financed. Their gym membership is financed. And hell, their burritos are being financed. You can literally finance your burrito from Chipotle if you need to. Like, it's everywhere. It's in all parts of their life. So why wouldn't it be in orthodontics? Like, it's like Zoom now, everyone does it. So you want to make sure that you're offering these things and that they don't feel like they're a less than, or, that they're like, it's like oh, you need the third party financing. Let me go get that pamphlet. That's not how we present that. And then we want to make sure that we are leveraging AI and tech as much as you possibly can. Gone are the days of, we're a state-of-the-art practice. Everyone needs to be state-of-the-art practice. Millennials and Gen Z use technology, they were born with it. They use it everywhere in their lives. The absence of it is weird. So I'll show you a little bit of how we utilize that more and more now than we kind of ever have. And then, but that needs to be peppered into that patient experience in order for them to convert. And then we want to make sure that you are really being intentional about your marketing spend. Marketing can get out of control really, really fast. And I hate it. And one of you is going to ask me, what should my marketing budget be? And I'm going to be like, I have a hard time answering that, because I will always want to spend more money on marketing than probably anybody, because I'm all about the long game in life. But I put it on here because there are some specific areas that I want you to focus on in 2026. I want you to focus on your OBS with your marketing. Okay. Focus on OBS. These are such good quality leads, like that. It's so silly when we don't convert them. And it always comes down to just, sometimes we take them for granted. So we need to focus our marketing on our OBS. If you don't have an OBS program, please, for the love of God, call me. Then, I want to make sure that you're really using target ads, and you're using them to target your adults, and you're going ahead and telling them all the content they need before they ever come in. You can get very strategic with target ads with adults, like Jedi mind trick them. And then making sure that we do have like actual funnels set up, and that we're driving patients to immediately be able to schedule with us. But these are things that you just got to be really intentional about, and that should be one of your goals for 2026. Especially when it comes to the adults. Like I said, you can get very, very strategic with them, and gone are the days where we are going to just build your practice off of, teens and adults. Don't get me wrong, or sorry, teens and kids. Don't get me wrong. Like, as a TC, as any auxiliary in the ortho world, I love working with kids. I have 3 of my own. I love working with kids, and they're way more fun than working with adults. But there are a lot less of them. The birth rate is going down, and the birth rate's going down because of millennials, and because they delayed marriage, and because they were just, out finding themselves and picking up participation trophies. So because of them, and because they're such narcissists too, probably, we have less and less kids that are being born, and therefore you will have less children in your chair next year and the year after and 5 years from now. Like, you're going to have to get good at adult conversions and adult orthodontics. So there's no way around that one. The next thing I want to throw out to you, and we're going to bring y'all into this in a second, and I'm going to stop talking for a moment. But the next thing that I want you focused on is team alignment and creating KPIs and scorecards per role in your practice. This is really big for my office managers or the doctors watching this. Like, go ahead and take a picture of this screen. Like, create KPIs attached to each role so that way each role is really focused on developing a certain muscle of the practice body, right? We can't all be focused on the same things. We can't all be doing the same things. We all have a list of priorities in our job role for the practice, but we need to be like measuring and growing those priorities. And I think creating some weekly scorecards, and again, I think weekly is the key to be monitoring and watching that growth to ensure it happens. If you guys just look at it like maybe once a month, if there's a staff meeting, or maybe once a quarter, it's just not going to grow. We need everybody intentionally trying to grow their department of the practice, and then you'll see that success go. Okay, so then in order to go over those KPIs or to talk about them together, we're going to need to be monitoring them somewhere. Like, we've got to collect all of that data and then go over it as the departments all kind of report in. So how are you measuring this? How are you watching those KPIs? Do you have a dashboard of some kind? Biggest thing I want to throw at you is bad data in, bad data out. Like, so many times we go into the practices and the patient statuses are wrong. We've been inconsistent about how we're measuring or how we're tagging our patients. So if we can add another thing to your list of goals for 2026, please, for the love, get your data clean, so then you could be making really good decisions off of that data and it'd be reliable. And make sure that the whole team knows about it. And we usually just assign everybody on, a non-doctor day or on a doctor vacation or something. That's a great time to go ahead and clean it up. But then you need to continue to clean it up at least once a month. Okay, don't just wait for that like one annual cleanup. That's not enough. That's not enough to be making smart decisions and growing, the different muscles of your practice. So careful there. I want to hit on SMART goals real quick. So SMART goals for us are when we define the goals really, really well. Get very, very specific. Nothing high level, very specific. This is how it's measured. This is the formula for it. This is what we did last year. Or what we did last quarter. This is what I want it to be now. This is what I want it to be for this quarter. So get very specific goals. I like to aim high on my goals personally, because then if I don't reach it all the way, I'm still happy. That's how I've always done it. But here are some goals that I would put into play. So the call to exam, get that above 90% in a perfect world, get as close to 90%. That one will be a struggle, but there are lots of ways to engage these guys. So I would work on that. Get your conversion rates up. Watch that overhead. Make sure that your goals are measurable. Make sure that they are actually achievable. There's nothing like setting too high of a goal that the team just won't rally for. If they truly believe that they can't make it, they're not going to do it. So show them what they did last year, and then make it a little bit more and a little bit more, and show them like, no, growth is just outside your comfort zone. That's where growth is. So we're never going to make the goal the same as last time. It's got to be more. It's got to be just outside what was comfortable. That's how we continue to grow. So, don't make it so far that it's not achievable, and then make sure that those goals are relevant to each of their departments. So we talked about those KPIs like being tied to the specific role. and make sure that you put a timeline on it. Don't just make it a forever. So I like to set goals and then say, okay, these are the goals for this quarter. And then in 90 days, we're going to reevaluate. Every time we put a new workflow into play, I'm like, just do it for 60 days. 30 is too short. Do it for 60 days and then we'll reevaluate. And if it didn't work, no worries. We've got like 14 other different strategies we can try. But this one, try it for 60 days, commit to it, and then reassess. 90 days is a nice one too. We're going to go into some AI stuff real quick here. So I want to show you how we use technology to help us be more efficient and to get those conversion rates better. So this is the Copilot AI. And what happens is the patients call and they have a specific phone number for new patients and the AI will pick up. And it's just like when you book your airlines tickets with American or something, and you go through the prompts back and forth, but it's really dialed in. And it will go ahead and automatically book their appointments for them. It'll go ahead and take all their insurance information. And it's, again, a very frictionless process. It's really, really smooth. So I highly recommend looking at ways to utilize AI or to automate that initial contact, because what we don't want is to miss any phone calls from these new patients. I am happy to see that a lot of practices are staggering their lunches and such. That's great. But most millennial moms call after they put the kids to bed, or they want to get things off their to-do list after they put the kids to bed. So, having the ability to make the appointment at night, you will have more bookings for sure. We also use AI in engagement with our OBS patients. So there's all sorts of engagements that you can do with Culturello, who is also with Patient Rewards Hub. If you guys are familiar with that, they've got lots of ways to keep those OBS patients in your practice. The other way that we use tech now is in our exams. So with Dento AI, all my TCs get onboarded really, really quickly with this. And it records the whole exam for them. And then it will go ahead and make all of their chart notes. It'll make their letters for them. We can send the email the patient and the doctor letters out to them. And we're just now working on an AI on the front end. So this is a deep fake. One thing that Alicia and I make everybody do are TC calls or TC videos to help prepare them and make a hype call for them to come into the appointment. And so now, in a way to save our TC's time, we're working on creating a deep fake AI for that video call. So it could be the doctor, it could be the TC. Now you won't be able to hear her, but this is an AI image. This is the doctor's picture that we made it off of. But she basically welcomes them and tells them kind of what we're going to do for the appointment, and that way they have a familiar face when they walk in the door. We can also go ahead and go over their insurance information and such in it. So that, again, is not the doctor. That's just a picture, but we can just swap out the name of the patient and we can give them whatever information we wanted to. So that's been a help as well. That's not fully on the market, so don't get excited yet. We're still tweaking it just a hair. And then as far as in the exam room, we want to make sure that we're scanning and simulating all of your patients. Gen Z has to see the value in doing this treatment immediately, and the simulation does that. The narcissist millennial sees how their teeth are going to move, not cases like them, but their teeth, how it's going to move. And it shows them immediately the value of doing this treatment, and that's how you convert them. If you are not scanning and simulating, I just can't help you anymore. And then making sure that we use remote care as much as you can as well. Again, we want to boost that value per visit. We want to get you guys as profitable per day as possible. So we want to make sure that we use remote care where we possibly can. We're so used to doing our marketing, our scripts, our office policies, our new patient process. The majority of practices is still set up for Gen X. And we've got to get out of old school and we got to go new school. and the new school is very digital. Your Gen Z patient, they live fluidly between a digital and an in-person environment. They are equal. So being on a Zoom with someone or being on FaceTime is equal as being in front of someone and having a lunch with somebody. It is the exact same of value. So like the different ways that we connect with your Gen Z and millennial patients have to be very digital, very digitally based, very mobile designed, because they're all doing it from their phone. And then and it has to be fast and frequent, and it has to be consistent on all of your platforms. You can't be one way on Facebook or one way on Snapchat and another way somewhere else. Like, this brand has to be cohesive in order to build brand equity. And then you have to have social proof. Gen Z has to see that other people, and same with millennials, have to see that other people really want to work with you guys and what that experience was like, rather than hear curated from you what the highlights of your practice is. It's just a very different way to engage with them. And then when they come in to the practice, you can't catfish them. Like, the practice on the inside, the real thing, has to look and feel exactly like the digital one that you've made. So, make sure that you've got clean, modern, minimalistic aesthetic. Like, aesthetics is very big for Gen Z in your practice as well. And then as far as the engagement with your team too, is that super easy and digital? Is that frictionless? And are your scripts, are they designed for millennials and Gen Z? And do you use ChatGPT to make variations for each one? Because how I talk to my Gen Z might be different than the text message that I'm going to send to my millennial. So, and there are different companies that can help you, that can actually create different ones for different generations, but you've got to create them first. So yeah, you want to make sure that we are removing every hurdle that we can for those generations, and also customizing our workflow for those generations, and each one individually. So that's going to be a big part to it. And your marketing team probably isn't going to do it unless you get intentional and talk to them about it. So I am not a digital marketing company. I cannot help you there, but I can tell you what you need to do. Yeah. So hopefully that gives you some things to think about. I will throw out one or two more things. Where we see practices fail is in slow response times. So, waiting 24 to 48 hours to follow up with the patient, you'll lose that patient. So we also need to see online booking available for them. They need to have very clear financial presentations. Nothing can be, what's the word? I mean, for them, the word is sus, but it has to be very clear and very transparent where you're coming up with this number, how you had it, or where it came from. And we highly recommend price transparency on your website, highly. And then making sure that we are same day start ready. There are still so many practices that don't do same day starts, and a millennial and a Gen Z require that fast conversion. So we need same day start readiness from your practice. And then the last thing that we see them fail at is really personalizing and customizing the whole experience down to every text message, every email. We put the patient's name on the screen when they walk into the consultation room, and it says, welcome, Tracy, this room was prepared just for you. We take little bits like that and that's all that is a slide with my name on it. But the patient feels like you took the time to personalize this room for me. So it's just little things like that go a long way with little credits with these generations. So let me just recap it here, kind of end it here, in case there are any questions. As you move into 2026, you are going to have to get very, very intentional. This is the year to really focus on finding the growth levers in your practice and just pulling on them. I do think adults are going to be a big one. I think OBS is going to be a big one. I think utilizing AI to enhance your workflows is going to be a big one. And those will really help you see the numbers that you're trying to hit. Don't focus as hard on, trying to build volume and give an okay patient experience or okay workflow, because that's just the way you've always done it. Rather, focus on taking what you're getting right now and getting really intentional with it, and adding extra strategies, extra marketing pieces or extra scripts, extra touch points in a different way than you used to. There's a lot of information out there about what millennials want. There's a lot of information out there about what Gen Z wants, and then it's just about applying that into your normal daily, weekly workflows, and per department, not just in the consult room. So it needs to be everywhere. So I really feel like we've seen some really great improvements, especially in the adaptability of private practice in 2025. And we need to use that momentum as we go into 2026. Again, we've got this great checklist for you guys that will have a lot of the KPIs and things that I talked about, just to get you guys moving, and get your team moving too. This is, I think, pretty thorough, but it also has our contact info. And if you want to sign up for like a 30-minute consult with us, we're happy to give you some feedback and give you some suggestions as well. But also, happy to have you as a client and be your coach. Just a couple more things. I think at the end of the day, we talk about mindset like it's this, oh, cool, mindset. Well, what does that mean to you? Mindset is the key to it all. If you as a leader, and again, a lot of us don't have a lot of leadership classes that we're taking, but if you as a leader can't communicate the vision and the goals, your team's not going to be there. I think that if you can really dial in and get very specific about what you want to see for 2026, your team will rally. They love you and they want to be on mission with you too. So, make sure that your mindset is right and that you are really working on getting your team to holistically have the same mindset as you and be focused on the same goals. So that's a big one. Plug all the leaks. Make sure that we are not continuing to have these leaky buckets that we've been seeing. Make sure that you focus on culture. Make sure you focus on transparency. Celebrate the wins together. Don't just focus on the hurdles of the week. Make sure that we focus on all of the positive things that happen along the week and the positive behaviors that you see, because that's how you get more of those. And really focus in on workflow efficiency and patient experience. If you need help you want to do a 90-day sprint with us, we are happy to help you with that. Just reach out to us and let us know that you're interested in a 90-day sprint. And then the last thing that kind of goes back to your talk about attracting and converting. We are going on the road 2026, and our normal TC and marketing mastery course that we usually do annually is actually going to happen 3 times in 3 cities. So we'll be in Dallas in February, and then we're going to Charleston the next quarter, and Seattle after that. And Seattle will be beautiful then. So just throwing it out there. But if you would like to come see us live, we have a live or a one full day, and it's open now to doctors, teams, everybody that's selling in your practice, which is all of you. So you are all welcome to come. But that's it. That's all I've got, Malika.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was absolutely amazing. We have a couple of questions, Tracy, if you just have a little bit more time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. First question. When you were discussing Copilot AI, is that the name of the voicemail replacement you recommended for the night scheduling?
Yes. Yeah. It's through Lead Sigma. Yeah. That's their product, is called Copilot.
Okay. I think we have 2 more questions. Advice on how to engage the whole team with getting involved. People tend to tunnel focus on their job only.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, and that's why I think if you work with those KPIs that are per role, then you'll get them more involved. So don't get me wrong, like I'm a clinical assistant. I mean, I've held every role in the ortho office. I love being a TC, but I'm still like, I started orthodontics as a clinical assistant, and I love working on patients' teeth or working on braces. And I'm lucky that my orthodontist lets me work on my kids. But at the end of the day, like, as a clinical assistant, my job is to execute what's on the schedule today. That's what I'm focused on. I'm not thinking about reviews. I'm not thinking about like marketing. I'm not thinking about like, is our TC column full? But that's because I'm focused on my primary job. And I get that. I understand. But I think that that's why creating specific goals just for assistants is important. Specific goals just for our admin team, specific goals just for our marketing team, so that way it's tied to their role, it's tied to their normal responsibilities, and now it's relatable. So that's how you get them all on board. So you just gotta kind of high level and go, okay, well, let's make micro goals per department, and now you'll see you'll see the practice grow as a whole.
Thank you. Next question. We don't have the staff for same-day starts or doctor time, really, for that matter. We are basically maxed out for the number we can see daily. We can offer same-day scans and online scheduling. 90% plus of our schedule is full. Any recommendations for that type of situation?
Well, first of all, we got to make you some room. So we need to focus on efficiency. That would be one. But to the first question, which is how do we do a same day start? Then you're going to at first start with same day contracts. You're going to start with same day contracts, and you're going to use the scan as your, we'll call it service. Really, when it comes down to converting a patient, there's like multiple ways, right? There's the real one where we bond them, we do something that I can bill insurance. That's the real same day start. Then there's the other one, which we'll call it same day contract instead, which is we psychologically Jedi mind trick this patient to believe that they have started with us. And what that is I get them to sign the contract, I get a down payment, but then you have to provide some kind of service. And I don't care if it's an x-ray, I don't care if it's placing spacers, I don't care if it's taking an extra scan that you're going to do absolutely nothing with. It can be whatever. It just needs to be a service, because as a millennial mom, I want to believe that I gave you money and then you did something, you did some kind of service, and now, and I signed a contract. So now I feel like the treatment has started. Make that patient feel like the treatment has started, because otherwise they're going to go on, right now they're going on 2.5 consultations. Actually, that just went up. They're at 2.6 consultations now. So there's a good chance that millennial mom still has another appointment scheduled for another consult. And while you and I know that legally she could still ask for a refund at this point, because we haven't bonded anything, we haven't delivered. But if she has paid you, signed a contract, and she received a service, the risk is so low. Like she believes that they have started the treatment. So I would just focus on same day contracts in that practice. But I would absolutely be looking at how we create more room in your schedule for you.
Okay, last question. Is there somewhere that we can virtually see these other presentations? I think since you're going on the road, they're asking, is there somewhere virtually they can see this?
No, it's just for the ones who come. And then we go out and party that night together. It's really fun. So you're going to have to come. You're just going to have to make it happen. It's like super cheap. It's $5.95, and you get CE credit, and it's on a Friday. So make it a goal. Like, make it a, hey doc, if we, hit this number of starts, or, if we get this, can we have that as the reward? And you got to come. You just got to. It's so fun.
You got to go. Absolutely.
It's so fun. They're so fun.
Well, thank you so much, Tracy. That was just incredibly insightful and packed with so many practical takeaways. And I want to give a big thank you to all of you guys who joined us live today. Whether your team is wrapping up a record year or you're looking to build the momentum, which is the perfect time, we hope today gave you new ways to focus your energy and set up for a strong start to 2026. Before we go, we just want a few reminders. First of all, don't forget that Tracy is going on the road in 2026. So make sure that you scan that QR code and you meet her there. And then the replay is already available and it'll also be hitting your inbox shortly. You're also going to see, you're also going to receive for your CE credits a survey that's going to come from classmarker.com. So it will not come from us, it will come from classmarker.com. You'll need to make sure that you fill that out and it will automatically populate your CE credit for you. Now, if for some reason you have a question and we weren't able to get to it, or you'd like to connect with us after the session, just reply to the follow-up email that you'll receive from marketing from Tops, and we'd love to just keep this conversation going. Again, we want to thank you all for being here, and we're wishing you a strong finish to 2025, and we will see you at our next session. Bye, you guys.